know when we're on. We're on already? Okay. Shabbat Shalom. Alex, can you turn off that second speaker over there? The one closest to the window? Shabbat Shalom. Sorry that this live stream had to get canceled. We were having some issues with the live stream staying on. So we restarted it for those that are online. That's why it keeps cutting out. We're going to start with the blessing for the reading. Amen. Okay. The blessing for the reading. Everyone together. Okay. Baruch et Yahweh Hambora. Baruch Yahweh Hambora lo ambaed. Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bakarbanu melko hamin. Venatalanu et torato. Baruch atah Yahweh noten ha-Torah. Amen. Amen. And Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I'm going to turn the mic down a little bit. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Okay. If the voice isn't coming through clear on the internet, or if it's too low, please send us a message on the YouTube. Thank you. Okay, and today's parasha study is going to be in Softim, or Judges, and we find that parasha 48 in Devarim, and it's Devarim 16:18. So that's Devarim 16:18, or Deuteronomy 16:18 through 21:9. We have a small group today. Alex, can you get us a second microphone? Okay. So we're going to go ahead and start reading, and that's in Devarim 16:18 through chapter 21:9. We're trying to get a second microphone. You know what? It's okay. We're close to each other right here, so we can just use the one. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Okay, we're going to start reading. So it's, once again, Deuteronomy, or Devarim in Hebrew, and that's 16:18 through 21:9. Okay? Okay. Appoint judges and officers within all your gates, which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you, according to your tribes. And they shall judge the people with righteous right ruling. Do not distort right ruling. Do not show partiality, nor take a bribe, for a bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and twists the words of the righteous. Follow righteousness alone, so that you live and inherit the land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you. Do not plant yourself any tree as an Asherah near the slaughter place of Yahweh, your Elohim, that you make for yourself. And do not set up a pillar, which Yahweh, your Elohim, hates. Chapter 17, 1. Do not slaughter to Yahweh, your Elohim, a bull or a sheep, which has any blemish, any evil matter, for that is an abomination to Yahweh, your Elohim. When there is found in your midst, in any of your cities, which Yahweh, your Elohim, is giving you, a man or a woman who does what is evil in the eyes of Yahweh, your Elohim, in transgressing his covenant, and has gone and served other mighty ones, and has bowed down to them, or to the sun, or to the moon, or to any host of the heavens, which I have not commanded, and it has been known to you, and you have heard, and you have searched diligently, then see, if true the matter is confirmed, that such an abomination has been done in Israel, then you shall bring out to your gates that man or woman who has done this evil matter, and you shall stone them to death, that man or woman with stones. Verse 6. At the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses shall he that is to die be put to death. He is not put to death by the mouth of one witness. The hand of the witnesses shall be first against him to put him to death, and the hand of the people last. So you shall purge the evil out from your midst. When any matter arises which is too hard for you to judge, between blood and between blood, between blood and blood, between plea and plea, between stroke and stroke, matters of strife within your gates, then you shall rise and go up to the place which Yahweh your Elohim chooses, and shall come to the priest, the Levites, and to the judge who is in those days, and shall inquire, and shall declare to you the word of right ruling. And you shall do according to the word which they declare to you, from that place which Yahweh chooses. And you shall guard to do according to all that they instruct you. Do according to the Torah in which they teach you, according to the right ruling which they say to you. Do not turn to the right or to the left from the word which they declare to you. Verse 12. And the man who acts arrogantly, so as not to listen to the priest who stands to serve there before Yahweh your Elohim, or to judge, that man shall die. So you shall purge the evil from Israel, and let all the people hear and fear, and no longer do arrogantly. 14. When you come to the land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you, and shall possess it, and shall dwell in it, and you shall say, let me set a sovereign over me, like all the nations that are around me. You shall certainly set a sovereign over you, whom Yahweh your Elohim shall choose. Set a sovereign over you from your brothers. You are not allowed to set a foreigner over you who is not your brother. Only he is to increase horses for himself. Only he is not to increase horses for himself, nor cause the people to return to Mitzrayim to increase horses. For Yahweh has said to you, do not return that way again. And he is not to increase wives for himself, lest his heart turn away. Nor is he to greatly increase silver and gold for himself. And it shall be, when he sits on the throne of his reign, that he shall write for himself a copy of this Torah in a book, from the one before the priests and the Levites. And it shall be with him, and he shall read it all the days of his life, so that he learns to fear Yahweh his Elohim, and guard all the words of this Torah and these laws to do them. Verse 20. So that his heart is not lifted up above his brothers, so as not to turn aside from the command, right or left, so that he prolongs his days in the reign he and his children in the midst of Israel. Amen. Alex, do you want to read chapter 18 for us? We'll read 2 chapters and we'll go to commentary, or we'll open up for comments or questions. You ready?
The Kohanim, the Levites, all the tribe of Levi have no part nor inheritance with Israel. They are to eat the offerings of Yahweh made by fire and his inheritance, but among his brothers no inheritance. Yahweh is his inheritance, as he has spoken to him, and this is the Kohan's right from the people. From those who bring an offering, whether it is butt or sheep, they shall give it to the Kohen, the shoulder, and the 2 cheeks, and the stomach. Verse 4. The first fruits of your grain and your new wine and your oil, and the first of the fleece of your new sheep, you give to him. For Yahweh your Elohim has chosen him out of all your tribes, to stand to serve in the name of Yahweh, him and his sons forever. And when the Levites come from one of your gates, from where he has sojourned among all Israel, and shall come without the desire of his being to the place with Yahweh has chosen. Yeah. Then he shall serve in the name of Yahweh as Elohim, like all his brothers, the Levites who are standing there before Yahweh. They are to have portion for portion to eat, besides what comes from the sale of his inheritance. When you come into the land which Yahweh your Elohim has given you, do not learn to do according to the abominations of the Gentiles. Let no one be found among you pass through the fire, or one who practices divination, or a user of magic, or one who interprets omens, or a sorcerer, or one who conjures spells, or a medium, or a spiritist, or one who calls up the dead. For whoever does these are then an abomination to Yahweh, and because of these abominations, Yahweh your Elohim drives them out from before you. Be perfect before Yahweh your Elohim. For these nations whom you are dispossessing, listen to those using magic, and to diviners. But as for you, Yahweh your Elohim has not appointed such for you. Yahweh your Elohim shall rise up for you, and not be like me, from your midst, from your brothers. Listen to him. According to all you ask of Yahweh, your Elohim is Horeb. And the day of the assembly saying, let me not hear again the voice of Yahweh my Elohim, nor let me see this great fire any more, lest I die. And Yahweh said to me, what they have spoken is good. I shall raise up for them and be like you out of the midst of their brothers, and I shall put my words in their mouth, and he shall in his mouth, and I shall speak to him all that I command him. And it shall be, the man who does not listen to my words, which he speaks in my name, I require it of him. But the Nabi who presumes to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or who speaks in the name of other mighty ones, even that Nabi shall die. And when you say in your heart, how do you know the word which Yahweh has not spoken? When the Nabi speaks in the name of Yahweh, and the word is not, or comes not, that is the word which Yahweh has not spoken. The Nabi has spoken it presumptuously. Do not be afraid of him.
All right. Thank you, Alex. So we'll go ahead and open up for questions or comments on these 2 chapters.
No, you don't. Shalom. I was just going to comment on about when he says appoint judges and officers within your gates, and how they were self-ruled, but not self-ruled, but really ruled by the Torah. And these are the things that why you see the world is in the shape that's in today, because people have no guidance. There's a lot of corruption, corrupt judges, and they don't have the guideline of Torah to go by. And so they make up their own rules as they go, and they do what they feel like is right in their own heart. And so Yahweh's ways are always the best ways for his people to follow what he gave in the Torah, because if we followed these things, we would have so much more shalom. And it just, that's the thing that stood out to me in the beginning. What else? There was one other thing. And about taking a bribe, because the people are so into the love of money, and people are controlled by this. And even in some congregations, hopefully not any, there are some in the Messianic congregations where you have seen where people have favor because they put more tithes, or because they have more, gifts to participate in the services. And this is what Yahweh doesn't want us to do. He wants us to there be a even fairness among all the people, and that no one is supposed to, no discrimination, or just showing favor to certain people. And we have to pray that we treat everyone fairly and follow these things. And that's what stood out to me in the beginning. And that's all I wanted to say.
And she said menudo, no menudo.
No, they said something
stomach.
about the stomach. Okay, I was going to ask a question. It said that the Levites said to give them the stomach. That was a question, because I like menudo. And people were saying it was unclean. And I was like, someone had told me that it was unclean. Now, I can understand when people add the pork, the pig foot, or whatever. But I'm talking about just the beef tripe.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but I was just want to,
I don't know. Maybe
because it says the stomach here, so, and when they,
it says the stomach here?
somewhere in here was talking about when they gave it to the Levites, they said give them, where is it?
I'm trying to find it.
Oh, because my husband was saying no menudo, but,
No, you said it, and
well, someone told me that. Anyway. Because,
right here.
okay, yeah, in 18:3 it says, and this is the priest's right from the people, from those who slaughter a slaughtering, whether it be a bull or sheep, they shall give to the priest the shoulder and the two cheeks and the stomach. So I would think that that part would be clean.
Right, yeah, because they're going to eat that.
Yeah, so that was their portion. Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
Yeah, I was also going to say this is what makes us a light, is when we are following the Torah. I can remember when I was helping a guy out at a pawn shop, and he said, I want you to work for me because you seem like you're cool and you're calm, because people come in there with attitudes because you don't want to give them a certain amount of a loan for their merchandise. And so I worked with him, and he wanted me there for my honesty and for that, but he wanted me to lie for him on the phone over something ridiculous, and I wouldn't do it. And I think to him that was not showing loyalty, so he didn't really want me to work there no more. But I think when we stand up for certain things like that, that makes people feel convicted to know that there's something that you're not doing right, or I'm not going to take this bribe. And like my wife was saying, this is why the world is in there's a lot of people who have really, really good jobs because they compromise, but when somebody doesn't really want to compromise, to them, you're the whistleblower. Because when they know that you live a certain way or you stand up for a certain thing, you will start seeing all kinds of crookedness. And then what comes to their mind is you might blow the whistle on them, and there's stuff right now going in our governmental system where this same kind of thing is going on, where people, there's some whistleblowers, but the whistleblowers they're doing things to them to shut them up. You know what I mean? And that's where we're going to change all this stuff, is when we really stand up and show people certain things that I can't do this. It's not that we're all upright and we're so perfect, but if we don't start putting that into practice, then it's going to keep us at a certain state where we're not going to grow. You know what I mean? And it's a tough thing because people come up against you. They start saying things about you. They will say you're from a cult or you're a weirdo and they'll even falsely say things about you. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to do things their way. And so yeah, it's a tough thing, and this is why the world's in the state that it's in, because it's pretty much everything goes now, and it's very, very.
Yeah, going with what you're saying and what Hallelujah was saying, they didn't have the Torah. They don't have the Torah now, and other nations, they're just doing whatever they see fit. And right now, our system, it's they don't have a fear. There's no fear of anything. It's just like they're not accountable to anybody. They just feel like they're gonna do whatever they're gonna do, and then, there's like they feel like no one can tell them what, and no one's gonna no one's gonna come down on them for the things that they're doing. And
And the sad thing is, like, they have the big thing, and you would have to have 3 witnesses.
mm-hmm.
Well, we have people that have been caught doing things on videotape.
Right, exactly, yeah,
Which is more than the
right,
3 witnesses, and they are still getting off because of bribes and things. And
right,
that's really scary.
yeah, and yeah, it's good. It's crazy when you look at we talk about them driving out people, and a lot of these nations, they had to like basically eliminate them completely, but you see what he's telling them not to do because of these nations before them did these things, and these guys are crazy. They're over here casting spells and doing all this sorcery and stuff, and then calling up dead. It's like mediums. Like I don't know. Sometimes we don't really understand what exactly these people are doing because we're not involved in that. We're not involved in that spiritual part of it like they are. I mean, they're doing bad spiritual things, and unfortunately, it seems like the enemy, the people that are into this spiritual stuff, like they're really hardcore into it, and they they're over here doing, calling up the dead and stuff, spiritually we have to be prepared and armed, to be able to fight against people like this, because these people are carrying around and maybe ordering, principalities and, legions of demons and stuff, it's scary, these people are out there doing this kind of stuff, and they had to deal with them then and told them, don't do what these people were doing before you, and you can see why Yahweh wants to, purge out the evil, because it's like one of these people start doing that within Israel, and it's like it just ruined everything, just bring in all kinds of things that you shouldn't be having, and you don't want, in your land, in your area, and within your people. So, I think that just kind of an application for today. We just need to be careful what we're into, what we're doing, because you never know. These there's so much out there that's like all subliminal and all kinds of hidden messages and hidden things, and even everything, from clothes you wear to music to the food. Symbols of companies, and there's a lot of stuff, and I just think we not to doom and gloom, but to be aware and to be be praying, especially Yanai was saying, this is a month of Elul, and we're going to be preparing for Yom Teruah, and then the feast after that, and so it's this month. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a trying month, and it's a time that we're spiritually need to analyze and look within, and try to really help clean up things in our life that maybe we didn't realizing that we shouldn't be doing, or things that we struggled with, or whatever it may be for whoever is doing this. It's in retrospect, for each one of us. So, all right. Would you like to read 19? Okay.
Oh, it's not long. 19:1. When Yahweh your Elohim cuts off the nations whose land Yahweh your Elohim is giving you, and you dispossess them and dwell in their cities and in their houses. Separate 3 cities for yourself in the midst of your land, which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you to possess. Prepare a way for yourself and divide into 3 parts the border of your land, which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you to inherit, that any manslayer shall flee there. And this matter of the manslayer who flees there and lives, he who strikes his neighbor unknowingly, not having hated him in the past, even he who goes to the forest with his neighbor to cut timber, and his hand swings a stroke with the axe to cut down the tree, and the head slips from the handle and strikes his neighbor so that he dies, let him flee to one of these cities and live. Lest the revenger of blood, while his displeasure is hot, pursue the manslayer and overtake him, because the way is long, and shall strike his being, though he was not worthy of death, since he had not hated him before. Therefore I am commanding you, saying, separate 3 cities for yourself. And if Yahweh your Elohim enlarges your border, and as he swore to your fathers, and has given you the land which he promised to give to your fathers, when you guard all his commands to do it, which I am commanding you today, to love Yahweh your Elohim, and to walk in his ways all the days, then you shall add 3 more cities for yourself, besides these 3, so that the innocent blood is not shed in the midst of your land, which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you as an inheritance, or blood guilt shall be upon you.
But when anyone hates his neighbor, and shall lie in wait for him, and rise him and strike him his being so that he dies, then he shall flee to one of these cities. And the elders of his city shall send and bring him from there, and give him into the hand of the revenger's blood, and he shall die. Your eyes shall not pardon him, but you shall purge the blood of his innocent from Israel, so that it might be well with you. Do not remove your neighbor's boundary, which those in the past have set, in your inheritance, which you inherit in the land that Yahweh your Elohim has given you to possess. One witness does not rise up against a man concerning any crookedness or any sin that he commits. And the mouth of 2 witnesses, or the mouth of 3 witnesses, a matter is established. When a malicious witness rises up against any man to accuse him of turning aside, then both men who have the dispute shall stand before Yahweh, before the priest and the judges who serve in those days. And the judges shall diligently search and see if the witness is a false witness, who has falsely accused his brother. Then you shall do to him as he thought to have done to his brother. Thus you shall purge the evil from your midst, and let the rest hear in fear, and never again do this evil matter in your midst. And let your eye not pardon, life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot.
All right, thank you. All we'll go ahead and read chapter 20 also, and then we'll stop for comments. You know what? We're going to read through 21:9 because it's only 9 verses in 21. So, Alex, if you could read 21, the 9 verses in chapter 21. When you go out to battle against your enemies and shall see horses and chariots and people more numerous than you, do not be afraid of them, for Yahweh your Elohim, who brought you up from the land of Mitzrayim, is with you. And it shall be when you draw near to battle, that the priest shall come and speak to the people, and shall say to them, Hear, O Israel, or Shema, Israel, you are drawing near today to battle with your enemies. Do not let your heart faint. Do not fear, or tremble, or be afraid before them. For Yahweh your Elohim is he who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies to save you. And the officers shall speak to the people, saying, Who is the man who has built a new house and has not dedicated it? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in battle, and another man dedicate it. And who is the man who has planted a vineyard and has not began to use it? Let him also go and return to his house, lest he die in battle, and another man should begin to use it. And who is the man who is engaged to a woman and has not taken her? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in battle, and another man take her. And the officers shall speak further to the people and say, Who is the man who is afraid and tender of heart? Let him go and return to his house, lest the heart of his brothers faint like his heart. And it shall be when the officers have finished speaking to the people, that they shall appoint commanders of the divisions to lead the people. When you draw near to a city to fight against it, then you shall make a call for peace to it. And it shall be that if it accepts your call for peace, and shall open to you, then all the people found in it are to be your compulsory labor and serve you. But if it does not make peace with you and shall fight against you, then you shall besiege it. 13. And Yahweh your Elohim shall give it into your hands, and you shall strike every male in it with the edge of the sword. Only the women and the little ones and the livestock and all that is in the city and all its spoil you take as plunder for yourself. You shall eat the enemy's plunder, which Yahweh your Elohim gives you. Do so to all the cities which are very far from you, which are not of the cities of these nations, only of the cities of these people which Yahweh your Elohim gives you as an inheritance. You do not keep alive any that breathe, but you shall certainly put them under the ban, the Hittite and the Amorite and the Canaanite and the Perizzite and the Hivite and the Jebusite, as Yahweh your Elohim has commanded you, lest they teach you to do according to all their abominations which they have done for their mighty ones, and you sin against Yahweh your Elohim. When you besiege a city for a long time by fighting against it to take it, you do not destroy its trees by wielding an axe against them. If you do eat of them, do not cut them down. For is the tree of the field a man to be besieged by you? Only the trees which you know are not trees for food, you do destroy and cut down, and build siege works against the city that is fighting against you until it falls. chapter 21, 9, Alex. Chapter 21, verse 1 through 9.
When anyone is found slain lying in the field in the land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you to possess, and it is not known who smote him, then your elders and your judges shall go out, and they shall measure the distance from the slain man to the cities round about. And it shall be that the elders of the city nearest to the slain man shall take a heifer which has not been worked, and which has been and has not pulled with the yoke. And the elders of that city shall bring the heifer down to a wadi from flowing water, which is neither plowed nor sown, and they shall break the heifer's neck there in the wadi. And the Kohanim, the sons of Levi, shall come near, for Yahweh your Elohim has chosen them to serve him and to barak in the name of Yahweh, and by their command every strife and every stroke. And let all the elders... Dad, I think it ended again. I heard the camera make a noise. Hello. Okay, sorry, just making sure everything's on. Chapter 6, or verse 6. And let all the elders of that city nearest to the slain man... Oh no, I'll start at 5. And the Kohanim, sons of Levi, shall come near, for Yahweh your Elohim has chosen them to serve him, and to barak in the name of Yahweh, and by their command every strife and every stroke. And let all the elders of that city nearest to the slain man wash their hands over the heifer, whose neck was broken in the wadi. And they shall answer and say, Our hands have not shed this blood, nor have our eyes seen it. O Yahweh, forgive your people Israel, whom you have redeemed, and do not allow innocent blood in the midst of your people Israel. And the blood guilt shall be pardoned to them. Thus you purge the guilt of innocent blood from your midst when you do what is right in the eyes of Yahweh. To when you go out to fight anyone... Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's it. I was asking if you think there was any, like, crimes or anything in Israel, like, you know, the camps or anything.
Within the brothers, within the tribes? Yeah, that's why you have the Torah, because people are people, and they have to learn to fear Yahweh. It says, you know, it wasn't like it just came natural. You know, they said that's why he wanted the king to write the whole copy of the Torah and then read it every day of his life, so that he learns to fear Yahweh. So that people are people, and they're going to act, you know, a certain way, and then that Yahweh tells them, do not act this way. But yeah, the people are going to do things that are crimes in Israel, where maybe in other places it might not be a crime, but in Israel, you know, it's a crime, you know, to, you know, bear false witness against your brother. You know, basically, for example, if you were to bear false witness, you could get somebody killed, or for something that you're saying that's false against them. You know, you get them stoned. You know, so yeah, there was crimes and things happened, and so that was the reason for the, you know, the rulings and the laws, so that people would know what not to do to keep the, you know, obviously the crime down. And but I mean, I don't know. It seemed like there was times that Israel was like, you know, solid, you know, and all the people were in Ehad, and they weren't, they did exactly what Yahweh told them to do, and Yahweh blessed them and favored them, and they overcame many nations, you know. And then there was times that they'd fall, and you know, bad things would happen to them. My question was always, you know, even though Yahweh was with them, when they'd go to battle, they could still die, you know. Like I never really understood that. Like when Yahweh said, "Hey, go and do this," you know, against these people. But he's saying here, at least he die in battle, and another, you know, and it's like Yahweh was even like keeping them, you know, those people, like, hey, you know, don't go out there, because, you know, I guess things can still happen, you know, and Yeah, I kind of never really understood that. Was it fate or wasn't fate, or was it meant for them, for those people at that time, or was it because of a sin that they did or something, that their life was being cut short, those men of battle, because there was other battles that they didn't lose one, and so I just always kind of wondered about that.
I always think it like, how could I say it? The scripture that says, he that endured to the end shall be saved. So sometimes I look at it like as if even though they're still fighting for Yahweh and they die, that he's still with them. It's just that maybe, that was a sin unto their own death or whatever. But going back to what Alex was saying, there was a part where some people of Israel, when it was sin, Achan, is sin in the camp. And they were told to don't take the spoils and all that stuff, and they did. And that was a form, of them being punished, for doing something. And I think it was important for the king, because a lot of times in our life, sometimes we do something and then, like the basic 10 commandments, we pretty much just know them off the top of our head, but sometimes we'll do something and later on we'll find out, wow, there was a mitzvot out of the 613 that I just connected, that what I just did reflect on that I wasn't, you know what I mean? And that's why I think it was important for the king to read it, because it held him accountable, but it also kept him aware, just like we see street signs every day. We have to have these posts constantly in front of us. It's not that we go out purposely sinning, but sometimes we just aren't aware, and everybody's at different levels too. So like there are some people who they will not think that smoking is a sin, because the scriptures don't really speak directly on it. But if you look at your body as a temple and you see the physical harm that it causes the body, you have to know spiritually it's not good for you. You know what I mean? So, right. So everybody's at different levels, and sometimes it takes that person to get to the level where you see it as, oh yeah, that's sin. Or that's a sin that I didn't really know that was that bad of a sin. You know what I'm saying? And so this is a walk that we're all going through, and like the guy was saying last week about the dietary laws, putting it in a spiritual sense. It's a physical and a spiritual. You know what I mean? But to me, you have to look at the physical part of it first. You know what I mean? Because the physical part of it, I've been around people in certain faith systems where they talk about praying over the pig and the lobster and all this stuff, and they have all kinds of diseases which doctors say these shellfish and these animals will do to you. So, that's cutting your life short, and you're polluting your temple.
Yeah, because that's like saying, it's like being wise in your own eyes, because you're like, oh, well, let me show you how to get around this, or let me show you how to make this right, but the word never said that. It never said to pray over, the poisonous thing and eat it, It never said to do that, or something that's an abomination, or an animal that you shouldn't be eating, unclean. It never said to just pray over it and make it clean, So yeah, very.
I just want to say, and the sad thing is, if these people, because of the greed of money and everything, if they left these creatures alone,
Mm-hmm.
Yahweh sent them out to do, our earth would be more cleansed.
Right.
Because that's what he put them there for.
Right.
They want to sit there and dig them out and
Yeah,
do all this stuff, and so now
that's true.
suffering from a lot of.
Right. Yeah, because they aren't doing their job like normally. Like Hamia was saying, if the government would stop eating these, these cleaners of the earth, the earth would be in a lot better shape, because they would be actually doing their job. They're over here, basically they're charging you money for trash, So they're selling you trash, and and making money off of it. So yeah, it is a, because they know too. A lot of them don't eat don't eat pork. They don't eat certain things. They understand. They might not be following Torah, but they understand the principles behind it. They understand that they want to have their cake and eat it too. I'm gonna be healthy and and make other people sick. So. But we'll go ahead and go on to the Haftorah at this point. That's in Isaiah 51:12, and the reading goes through 53:12. Isaiah or Yeshayahu or Yeshayahu. Okay, so it starts on 51:12 of Yeshayahu or Isaiah, and it says, I am he who comforts you. Who are you that you should be afraid of a man that dies, and the son of a man who is made like grass? And you have forgotten Yahweh your maker, who stretched out the heavens and laid the foundations of the earth. And you continually fear all day because of the rage of the oppressor, as he has prepared to destroy. And where is the rage of the oppressor? Bowed, he has hastened to be loose. Is it bowed or bowed? Bowed, he has hastened to be loose. Is that bowed or bowed? It looks like bowed to me, but bowed, he has hastened to be loose, that he should not die in the pit, and that his bread should not fail. Oh, wow, I never caught that before. That's speaking about the enemy, huh? They should not die in the pit. But I am Yahweh your Elohim, stirring up the sea, and its waves roar. Yahweh of hosts is his name. And I have put my words in your mouth, and with the shadow of my hand I have covered you, to plant the heavens and to lay the foundations of the earth, and to say to Sion, you are my people. Awake, awake yourself. Rise up, O Jerusalem, you who have drunk at the hand of at the hand of Yahweh, the cup of his wrath. You have drunk the dregs of the cup of reeling, and drained it out. Of all the sons she bore, she has none to guide her. And of all the sons she has brought up, none is strengthening her hand. Both of these are coming upon you. Who is sorry for you? Ruin and destruction, scarcity of food and sword. How shall I comfort you? Your sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets, like a gazelle in the net. They are filled with the wrath of Yahweh and the rebuke of your Elohim. Therefore, please hear this, you afflicted and drunk, but not with wine. Thus said your master Yahweh, and your Elohim, who pleads the cause of his people. See, I shall take out of your hand the cup of reeling, the dregs of the cup of my wrath. Never again shall you drink it. Amen. And it shall be put into the hand of those who afflicted you, and who have said to your being, bow down. And we passed over you, and you made your back like the ground, and as the street to walk over. Okay, the reading goes through 53:12. Would you like to read 52?
Isaiah or Yeshayahu, 52:1. Awake, awake, put on your strength, O Zion, put on your garments of splendor, O Jerusalem, the set-apart city. For no more do the uncircumcised and the unclean come into you. Shake yourself from the dust, arise and sit down, O Jerusalem, Loose yourself from the bonds of your neck, O captives of Zion. For thus said Yahweh, you have been sold for naught, and you are redeemed not with silver. For thus said the Master Yahweh, at first my people went down into Mizraim to sojourn there, and Asher oppressed them without cause. And now what have I here, declares Yahweh, that my people are taken away for naught. Those who rule over them make them well, declared Yahweh, and my name is despised all day continually. Therefore my people shall know my name in that day, for I am the one who is speaking. See, it is I. How pleasant upon the mountains are the feet of him who brings good news, who proclaims peace, who brings good news, who proclaims deliverance, who says to Zion, your Elohim reigns. The voice of your watchmen, they shall lift up their voices. Together they shout for joy, because eye to eye they see the return of Yahweh to Zion. Break forth into singing, break forth into joy, sing together, you waste places of Yerushalayim. For Yahweh shall comfort his people, he shall redeem Yerushalayim. Yahweh shall lay bare his set-apart arm in the eyes of all the nations, and all the ends of the earth shall see the deliverance of our Elohim. Turn aside, come out from there, touch not the unclean. Come out of her midst, be clean, you who bear the vessels of Yahweh. For you shall not come out in haste, nor go in flight, for Yahweh is going before you, and the Elohim of Israel is your rear guard. See, my servant shall work wisely. He shall be exalted and lifted up very high. As many were astonished at you, so the disfigurement beyond any man's, and his form beyond the sons of men. He shall likewise startle many nations. Sovereigns shut their mouths at him, for what has not been recounted to them they shall see, and what they have not heard they shall understand.
Oh, okay. It was bowed. Okay. Okay. Basically the same as bow. Okay. We'll go ahead and open up for comments or questions on that. And if anybody's online, they'd like to comment also. We're kind of checking it periodically. Some are saying that the volume is really low. I tried to adjust it. I don't know if that's better. You can let us know. And but yeah, interesting. It speaks about a time where Yahweh is going to restore Yerushalayim, and he's saying that no more will all the people that are there, the uncircumcised and people that are just doing whatever, are going to be there like they are now, and it's we see that this is definitely prophetic, because we see that this is happening now, that these people are there, and people are there that shouldn't even be there, and they're basically they're trotting down the set apart place, but it's saying that Yahweh is going to take it to a time that he's going to restore Yerushalayim and take away basically the punishment that we all deserved. The punishment that he's saying, the wrath of Yahweh, I believe that I might be wrong, but I believe that he was talking about the exile, which we're like in an exile right now, because we weren't supposed to appoint a foreigner over us, and here we are with a foreigner over us, and you can see that we're in exile. We're not in a community. We're not within a gate. We don't have the Torah as our constitution, or our right rulings and laws and judgments, aren't based on the Torah or using the Torah right now, so this is all something that's this is prophetically going to happen still. I believe that it's not something that happened because there was other exiles and they were brought back in. I believe that this is one that's still coming, and it says in verse 6. I believe that lets us know that it's for a time to come. Therefore, my people shall know my name in that day, for I am the one who is speaking. See, it is I. So, you guys have anything on that?
I just wanted to, what I was saying earlier too, I just wanted to clarify the part where Moshe, he disobeyed Yahweh when he struck the rock and when he died. You know, he didn't, I believe he's going to Shamayim, but that was a thing I was trying to say, like when war, I think that's a good example, that's saying that, you know, just because a person dies, it doesn't mean that he didn't make it, you know, by disobeying Yahweh. He just didn't get the chance to go into the promised land because he didn't follow the instruction that Yahweh, you know what I mean? He cut his life short. And I just wanted to make that clear, you know. Oh, but, and also, I'm sorry, you said the community. The community, that's what's really, really important, too, that if we, like you were saying, if we had the community and we had a Beit Din in our community, I think it would be better for our children because we could chastise them in a way to where they probably would never see a jail cell because we can do it more in love. We could show them how to pay restitution, you know, for your punishment. You're going to milk the cows for 6 days or whatever. You know, I'm just making up something, but, you know, it would be a different type of a punishment rather than how the state does it because they call it a rehabilitation system. But when a person is incarcerated, he actually learns more crime inside the prison system than when he first came in. Yeah. So low, it's like below 1%. So when they call it a correctional system, you're not really getting corrected. You know, but this would be a way where we could correct our children in the Torah. And not only that, it will make you live to a higher standard because you have to give the examples to people. And so now everybody else holds you accountable. And I think all of this stuff would help us to grow, to be better in our walk, you know, and so... And I think we would be more healthier. We would have more energy. I mean, like you were saying, the stuff in our foods right now, you know, you can't even go by the labels because they put another ingredient under the label to block that ingredient.
Even natural ingredient, when they say natural, like flavors.
Yeah.
That could, if it doesn't say kosher on there, watch out, you know, because they're using some things from animals that are not even close to clean animals, you know. I was just saying that with the food, there's some, you know, look out for those, for you guys watching if you don't know already, the natural ingredients. Be careful with that because when they say flavored with natural flavors or you know, yeah, like enhanced with natural flavors and stuff like that, you have to be careful when they're saying natural. A lot of us think that, oh, it's good, you know, it's fruits, you know, apples or something. You know, we think of like flavors like sweets like that, but actually they're to get like a strawberry or cherry flavor, they use, you know, like some secretion from an unclean animal, like beavers and I mean just some weird, really weird stuff that you guys, I mean, you wouldn't even want to believe it unless you looked it up for yourself and saw it. It's really crazy, the stuff that they're putting in there that you know, this, you know, supposedly the what is it, the Drug and Health Administration, you know, what is it, Food and Drug Administration, thank you. Yeah, so it's crazy. You know, the stuff that they're trying to pollute us with, and just it's bad. You know that those things are in our foods, and so many people are perishing and getting sick because of lack of knowledge. You know, and we see that in the Word. Thank Yahweh that He's opened our eyes to those things, and we just ask Him to continue to help us to be able to avoid those things that they've become more crafty now to hide them from us, because they know that we're looking at the labels. People are looking at the labels. They're trying to see what's in there, and yeah. So just for those of you that understand, and want to keep kosher, want to, not be eating things that we shouldn't, then just be careful when you're buying things that have that say naturally flavored. So all right, and amen. So we're gonna go to the Brit Hadashah. We'll be reading from Matityahu or Matthew, chapter 5, verse 38 through 42. Alex, can you check to see if anyone has commented on the volume being better or not? It should be on the YouTube. You see it on the left? It should be on the left. On the right, sorry, I'm sorry. On the right. I'm thinking my left. We're fine? Did they comment back? I asked, is that better? And no? Okay. All right. I don't know. The countdown is still going. I don't know if it's working at this point because we don't have a phone to check it with. But the countdown is going. I don't want to end it because I don't know how to start it again. Reina's the one that's in charge of that, so I hope this is all still going through. Okay, so we're going to start reading from Matityahu chapter 5, verse 38, and we'll go through 42. And you heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist the wicked, but whoever slaps you on the right cheek, turn the other to him also. And he who wishes to sue you and take away your inner garment, let him have your outer garment as well. And whoever compels you to go 1 mile, go with him 2. Give to him who asks of you, and from him who wishes to borrow from you, do not turn away. All right. So we'll read a couple of these because they're short, and then we'll open up for comments, questions on it. So it's still working? So the camera isn't working, but you can still hear it. Yeah, and I don't know how to set it up again. We'd have to call Reina in here. Now, if you want to go call her and see if she can fix it. What time is it? We have 15 minutes left. So, yeah, ask her if she could fix it, please. Okay, so we're going to keep reading, and now we're going to read from Matthew 18:15 through 20. And if your brother sins against you, go and convict him between you and him alone. If he hears you, you have gained your brother. But if he does not hear you, take with you 1 or 2 more, that by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word might be established. And if he refuses to hear you, say it to the assembly. And if he refuses even to hear the assembly, let him be to you like the nations and a tax collector. I feel like that's Alex, can you close that door? I feel like that's an incorrect interpretation. It just seems funny, like a tax collector. I don't know if back then tax collectors like murdered people if they didn't pay them or what, because it sounds like he said like it's like one of the worst things in the world. To make it sound. Yeah, we're gonna restart the live feed because it's freezing. We're gonna restart and come back with Kiddush. So yeah, like I was saying,